Just a little about me, born, brought up in New Delhi. I've lived majority of my time in India. I moved to the US back in year 2000 for my higher education. And that is where I started my business stint as well. So I've been in the startup business world for about 20 plus years now. Started at the age of 19. And the first stint happened in New York while I was doing my education in finance from there. And for the last 15 years, I've built about four different tech startups. This is really my fourth one that I'm working on. And the previous three kind of, had a challenge which I had to solve myself, which was how do you scale a business after a point? Every business sometimes hits a glass ceiling. Every team hits a glass ceiling where going beyond becomes difficult, right? And the hustle doesn't take you that far then. So you got to understand what are the strategic challenges that one needs to solve for and how to execute on those challenges. And that is what led me and my co-founders come together to form JOP. And that is what we are solving for, in JOP as well. As far as personally, I love to spend time with the family, whatever little I can get these days, just because you know how startups are. Got two boys who are 9 and 8, and yeah, love to spend time with them, whatever little I can, and love the nature. So we love going to wildlife and travel as much as we can together. So, Job or Joy of Performing is really a SaaS platform today, which helps in business and performance, enablement. So we create like a high performance culture in the organization. Now, how we do it is by managing strategy execution for the goals that you have kept for your organization. What we claim and what we work towards is that how do we increase velocity and probability of your strategy execution. So every organization has got goals, right? Right at the top level, you got a vision, mission. You set up objectives for your organization on annual basis, and then you need to cascade it down to your people so that it's completely transparent. People are aligned, not working in silos, and really build a momentum in the business. Now, all these things sound very logical, but when you want to do them in an organization, it becomes very difficult because, there are people thinking in their own ways, trying to execute in their own ways. And when you're trying to do that, you're not aligned as an organization, you're not aligned as a team. And that is what Job really helps with, and the problem that we are solving for. Let us go back and figure out why is there anxiety and why are people overwhelmed, right? I think anxiety happens when people are not very clear of what is going to happen, right? Now I'm gonna talk why job exists and why job helps with that clarity before I go to the AI part, right? So if you look at job, what we do is we take your strategy or your goals and clearly kind of cascades it down into a whole organization. So what happens is when you have clarity and when people are aligned, when teams are aligned, the whole anxiety goes away because now it's not ambiguous. It's not very it's not very vague of what the organization needs to do and what the people involved in the organization needs to do. There is complete transparency and clarity, and that brings a lot of that brings a lot of alignment, which takes out the whole anxiety from the equation. So that's on the job part. Now let's come on the AI part. Now AI is not, in our case at least, I can talk about it, that AI is just an enabler to what we are solving for. It's not disrupting anything. I mean, strategy is still need to be done by the people for the people, and you can't take the people away from that. However, AI helps you to understand what is happening in your organization. It makes sense of data and somewhere kind of brings the clarity to have a very on point strategy for your organization and people as well. So that's what AI does. it's solving for those use cases. So in our business and the way we see it, AI is just an enabler, could be disruptor in many different ways, but not in the space that we are in. Yeah, so I am a big believer that one should hire for attitude. Skill can be acquired, but that's me. People have different ways to look at it. What I have seen, and I'm going to go back to the context of job again. What I have seen is when you have a product like job in your organization, it becomes very clear of where the challenge is. You don't have to drill deep to understand what the challenges are. Once you understand the challenge, you can really make sense of them, whether it's skill based, capability based, or let's say attitude based, right? And once you understand those challenges, you can solve for them. So that is the way we look at it. Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? And that's the premise of why I'm in the business that I'm in, right? I'm a firm believer that people do work for money, and money is important. Everything's gone so expensive that nobody can survive without it, right? But at the same time, there is a higher reason that people come to work and people get engaged with their workforce or their workplace. And I think that starts with a purpose. So a lot of times when you tell people to do what they need to do without them being attached to the purpose, I don't think they are able to give their 100%. But when people understand that what is the purpose that their organization is solving for, and how, even if they are a small piece of it, how them being involved really helps for their organization to reach that purpose, I think they get engaged, at a very core level. And I think that is what is important and needs to be given to every employee of an organization. And that I think that's one of the most important responsibility for an employer, for an organization to provide to its people. And that is where I think you can stitch a lot of things together for your people and for your business. Yeah. So of course, physical safety and security is easier. There are about three or five different things which are required in order for emotional security and stability for an employee. And I think it starts with understanding of the need of an employee, right? And it also differs in the employee life cycle, their seniority, what is it their role is in the organization. So understanding where they are currently and what their need is extremely important. Once you understand that, then how do you align your business goals with their personal goals as well? One without the other, to my mind, does not make sense. There are a lot of organizations who would push business goals under an employee throat, and that does not work. It just creates a lot of anxiety and dissatisfaction. But if you're able to understand the need of the employee and then align that with the business goals, I think magic can happen. And then there are required regular check-ins. So it's not a one-time activity, but how are you going to keep that continuous, the whole feedback piece very continuous in the organization, so that people have the voice. They can freely explain what are they feeling in their organization, and that feedback is turned into action. And if you're able to do that somehow, then I think you can create that nurturing, workspace for an organization and for its people. And I'm not sure if you've really seen JOP or not, but that is what we strive for through our platform as well.